BJ for Game Gumbo. Got my guest here, Jordan Hopper. Jordan, have you played Shores of Tripoli yet? The Shores of Tripoli?
I've not.
Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it.
Fort Circle Games. That's Kevin Bertram. He decided to start a game company, and what he's focusing on is these little 1, 2, maybe multiplayer, but introductory. When I say introductory, I mean user-friendly, 1-on-1, 2-on-2 type of war games. All of them from a historical standpoint. So he sent me a review copy of the Shores of Tripoli, and I'll tell you, if you like Twilight Struggle or any of those kind of card-playing games, you owe it to check out Shores of Tripoli. My one caveat on it is I'm not sure about the replayability, but maybe that's not something that's that big of a deal to every single gamer. You're going to get a bunch of games out. It's not going to have the replayability of a Twilight Imperium or something like that, where there's going to be constant factions. The Shores of Tripoli is about 2 factions, right? Mm-hmm. It's the Barbary Pirates, the Coast versus Thomas Jefferson's early America, the early 1800s. And what I like about it is both sides have unique win conditions. Oh, it also comes with a beautiful historical book. Both sides have unique win conditions. The Barbary Pirates on the one hand, Tripolitania, versus Jefferson's fleet that he sends out there because they were attacking the merchant ships. Mm-hmm. And each one has a completely unique win condition played by the cards. One of them, the Barbary Pirates, are basically trying to survive long enough and steal all the gold from the merchants. If they can steal the gold or capture enough of the frigates, then the Americans are going to get bored and say, okay, we're just not as much of a naval power as we think. We'll have to wait till World War I to really become a naval power. Or you could play as Jefferson. And if you're playing the American side, your goal is to either win by forcing the leader of Tripolitania. Is it the Shaw? I can't remember now. But you got the Bashaw. You got to force the Bashaw into a treaty at terms favorable to you, or storm into Tripoli and take it over. The land route coming over and winning the big battle. Mm-hmm. Some of these things come from the card play. And what is really cool about this really nice board, let's see if I can find the board. Yeah, it's this long board that represents the coastline up there. And when you're playing the cards, each deck is small. Think small like Watergate, Steve. So It doesn't play like Watergate. Watergate is that, what do you call it? Tug of war, where you're constantly watching where's the tug of war going to land. That's not what this is. This is more like Twilight Struggle's card-driven play, or 1960s card-driven play, where the actions you take off the cards are going to do certain things. The first time you play it, it's like the age of discovery, Jordan. Both sides are learning their cards and going, oh man, I wish I'd gotten this card next year or played this card later. It's when you play the game the second time and both people know the very small decks. There's only 20 something cards in each deck.
Right.
That's where this game shines. So I have played this game a bunch. I have a copy here. There's also a copy online. I try not to broadcast type stuff about the games online, but it is available. If you have a copy, you can play it online. And I've taught it to a bunch of people. So far, it's been a big hit. Is this the kind of game that either one of you are interested in? A little 2-player card-driven game?
It sounds super interesting to me. Like I pretty much every time I watch your show, BJ, I end up adding something to my wish list, and this is the one now. This is the one.
Yeah. The only problem is going to be when you have a small deck of cards and only 2 factions. Even though there's multiple win conditions, I could see somebody saying, well, I'm not going to get 20 games out of this. Okay, well, if that's what you're looking for, maybe that's not the game. I think you are going to get 20 games out of it, because unless you're playing with the same person all the time, if you bring it to a convention or a game night, you're always going to find somebody. The game only takes about 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. You teach it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You play it in 40. So great thing at the start of the night when we start having game nights again, Really, thanks a lot, Evan. That's why I never want to show. Just bring your checkbook, Evan. Just bring your checkbook. We're going to make it happen here.
We're all taking turns making other people buy other things.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've backed a lot of games or bought a lot of games from my own show because the guest talks about. Look, Steve,
right.
I'm already salivating about Rococo now. I want a game.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah, you're right here. So that's Steve. What do you think? What are Jordan's thoughts?
This kind of a highly tactical 2-player war game kind of thing
Absolutely.
here? Okay, I'm getting a bit of a Few Acres of Snow vibe off of this, with
Yes.
the exception of the fact that maybe you don't have to build your deck. Your deck comes to
It's
you in a complete
there.
form rather than you having to cycle or cull or what have you.
No, you're not culling, you're not buying cards, you're not adding to it, but you are fishing through your deck. So if you have, there's 1 or 2 times you can play a card where you're going to try to grab some more cards. You definitely want to do that. And it's also situational. For instance, the Swiss are there to help the Americans early on, but historically they left. So that Kevin has added that into the game. You better start getting that win condition before the Swiss leave, because after that, it makes it a lot tougher.
And you say that it's organized by years in that way, so that
It's-
there's kind of like ages that you're going through in the rounds of the game. It's kind of tied to historical what's happening at that first year through the 5th year.
Absolutely. It's not completely historically accurate, but I'm telling you, after reading the historical guidelines and then reading Wikipedia, I'm impressed that Kevin was able to get the sense of how everything developed. And he's got the players. Some of the cards are actually the captains or the commanders that were involved in it. And it's just fun to do that and to see this. Look, I'm an early Americana guy. I love Revolutionary War and early American history. So this is just right up my alley. I'm so glad Kevin sent us a copy. So, Steve,
I'd like to play this one. This would be one that I would probably play with Luke or Adam, who are history teachers themselves. They would probably just eat this alive.
yeah, remind me after the show. I'll send this up to your way, because I think I've got enough plays, and I want to see what you and Kevin and Luke and them say about it.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right, so that is Shores of Tripoli from Fort Circle Games. They've got a whole lineup of these quick playing historical games coming out. That's up my alley. I just don't want to play a 6-hour historical game. I've got a friend, by the way, a fellow attorney. This is what he does on Wednesday nights. They play these long month, 2, 3, 5-month campaign games where they take all Wednesday night and they each make one move.
Oh my gosh.
Because you're pushing so many tanks and stuff around. And he's got over the years, probably about 20 or 30 years he's been doing this, and they've played 40 or 50 of these games, but each one takes months for them to finish.
I appreciate wanting to represent the war correctly, but it doesn't have to actually last the same amount.
It doesn't, right?
Right.
So, yeah, that's just not my kind of game. Memoir 44 was about as deep into a war type of game, but this is even better. I really like it.
You've got my interest peaked, BJ.
Check that out. That is the Shores of Tripoli from Fort Circle Games.